In today's show, when will M3 Studios come? When will Apple chips go chiplet? Is M3 using A17 cores? Why is iPhone 15 Pro faster than the Pro Max? MagSafe data and killing Apple's babies. I'm Mike Dev, and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you. And if you want the latest Apple leaks, news and rumours, like the video, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. And this video is all about answering your questions about the upcoming Apple event and Apple in general, so let's get straight into it. Eugene King 1462 asks, IKEV answers, hi Dave, will the M3 Mac Studios show up in spring of 2024? And that's a great question. I think that is probably a pretty good guess. I think we will probably get the Mac Studios, the Mac Pro, and the M3 MacBook Air and maybe Mac Mini potentially at that event. I feel like the Mac Minis are not coming at this one that's coming up, although that would be an easy win for them if they're going to release the MacBook Pros with the M3 Pro and the M3 Mac as well as the M3. That would make a lot of sense, and then we could potentially get the MacBook Airs and the Mac Studios, kind of the two ends of the market at that spring event. That would make a lot of sense to me. Let me know in the comments if you think that's the case. For what we're expecting at this event on Monday, which we will be live streaming before and after, by the way, even though it will be stupid o'clock here and I might even dress up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think we're going to be getting iMacs. I think we're going to be potentially getting the MacBook Pro 13-inch, although Mark Gurman has said no to that. It makes sense to me, but I also kind of think if he said no, we probably won't. But the 14 and the 16-inch MacBook Pro is also supposed to be updated at this event, so that makes it pretty kind of exciting regardless. Evan Rogers asks, IKEV answers, when do you think we will see true multi-chip modules for the M series? For example, Apple can create a die for each major component, such as the CPU clusters, the GPU clusters, the NPU, the media engine, etc., and glue them together. Now, I did get a shout out in one of Max Tech's videos the other day. I don't think he quite got what I was saying. Although we have the M1 Pro and the M1 Max as basically being built always as a Max and then chopping it for the M1 Pro, I think he kind of assumed that I'd previously been talking about M3 and M3 Pro and M3 Max all being on the same die. I'd suggested that it might be a potential, but that's not what I'm expecting to happen. What I'm thinking though is if they are releasing all of these on the same day, they may be doing mixed dies. For example, putting the M3 Maxes in the middle of the silicon wafer where you've got the most space for the bigger chips, and then surrounding those with M3 chips on the outside to kind of fill the gaps that you can't fill otherwise. It makes more sense to kind of use all of that extra space because these chips are much smaller. We did cover this in a previous video. It would be really cool if they found a way that they could kind of build all of the M chips from a single kind of die design, but I'm not quite sure that that's exactly what is going to happen, and I think there was a little bit of miscommunication. I did sort of suggest it, but it's not exactly what I was trying to say. Max Tech's video though is great, and I will link it down in the comments. Evan Rogers asks, IKEV answers, odds that we see a new CPU core in the M3 variants versus using the same cores as the A17 Pro. Now, I'm pretty sure that we will use the same cores as the A17. The reason for that is that Apple has done a brilliant job of kind of scaling from the A series chips all the way through to the M series chips, and then through to the M Pro, the M Max, and the M Ultra. Basically, the cores are the same, so the efficiency cores in the iPhone and the Mac are the same. The performance cores in the Mac and the iPhone are the same. Same with the iPads and things like that. Obviously, it's just how many you get and how many are active within the chip that's created. I don't think we'll see different cores. It doesn't really make much sense because Apple is an expert at kind of using these same cores, but just with more of them and using them more effectively for the bigger chips. That makes the most sense. R2D Hugh asks, IKEV answers, anyone know why the iPhone 15 Pro consistently outperforms the iPhone 15 Max in the benchmarks? Everywhere I see them, including Geekbench and Tom's Hardware. So yes, there is a very simple reason for this, and it is it's actually kind of simple. It's basically we have the same CPU and GPU and everything else in the smaller and the larger iPhone, but the larger iPhone has to drive more pixels. So because you're driving more pixels for every single frame that's going on, and you could be doing 120 frames a second at the maximum with ProMotion that's built into these iPhones, they have to basically process more data in order to do that. So anything that you're doing on that iPhone is going to take a little bit more compute power per frame than it does on the smaller iPhones, even though it's not a huge difference. Imagine you personally have to do 100 maths questions in a minute versus 120 maths questions in a minute, it's going to be harder to do the 120. That's all it comes down to. Pokemon Scarlet 18 asks, IK of Answers, when will Apple allow data transfer to be done via MagSafe puck or charger? Will it allow Apple to back up our phones via MagSafe or airdrop? Now, right now, we can back up our iPhones via cable through a computer, or we can do it via Wi-Fi through to iCloud. But right now, we can't do data transfer over MagSafe. There is the possibility that you could do that by putting U2 or U1 chips within the MagSafe charger, but there's no indication that Apple is looking to do that at the moment. However, what we have seen, which kind of indicates that Apple is looking at data transfer over this kind of standard, is the AirPods Pro with USB-C. It's not a third generation apparently, but it is different, will allow you to do lossless audio when you're using Vision Pro. And my theory for that is that it's going to use the ultra wideband chips to do that, because you know it's going to be really close to the headset, and distance is a big thing with these. If you want to do the lossless transfers and you want to do really fast data transfers, proximity is really important. So I think that's probably the difference that's going on here, and I think that's why it's going to happen there. Otherwise, you're going to have to like literally put your device down. Like, say you want to move something from the Mac to the iPhone, you would have to put your iPhone on a specific point on the MacBook in order for that to work. It would pretty cool though if they did. And Pokemon Scarlet 18 asks, IK of Answers, if you have to get rid of one Apple product that would be discounted, what would it be? For me, the iPad is pretty much becoming that product. I haven't touched my 2018 Pro iPad in almost 4 years. Now, I think you're saying discontinued, not discounted. I'm guessing that's a autocorrect thing. I don't know. I couldn't get rid of my iPad because I use that literally every day. I use it. That's my kind of bedtime device if I want to watch anything in bed. It's my morning device while I'm making breakfast for the kids. It's my kind of go-to content consumption device. And I've also used it quite extensively in the past for signing documents, things like that. When I was working, I think it's a really useful device for work if you work in anything where you have contracts, because you can do electronic contracts, signatures, all that sort of stuff really easily with pencil. But I also think the iPad really should be refocused at artists and make use of the pencil more than it does right now, because I think the pencil is kind of meh right now. I think if Apple refocused the iPad, got rid of the reliance on the keyboard, I think that would make a lot more sense for the iPad. In terms of what I would get rid of from the range right now, for me it's the HomePod. I use my HomePod very, very little. I use my Apple TV all the time, I use my Macs all the time, my iPad all the time, my phone all the time, my AirPods all the time. So HomePod would be the one for me personally right now, but that's not to say that in the future it might not be a huge part of Apple's ecosystem and the smart home stuff that they're doing, but for me that's the one. And thank you all for watching. Remember, I'm doing stand-up comedy in just a couple of weeks now, which is terrifying. If you want to support justgiving.com/IKevDave, I'm supporting the Children's Hospital that looked after my kids when they were sick. And thank you to the Patreons for all your support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell.